Bhagavate Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nashtaki. So yesterday we discussed how Prabhupada, after 40 days of traveling by ship, seasickness, vomiting, and 2 heart attacks, he reached Boston in America. So in Boston, when he was on the board, he wrote a poem called Markine Bhagavad Dharma. It says, "My dear Lord Krishna, you're so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here, otherwise why would you bring me to this terrible place?" That was Prabhupada's first experience with America. Terrible place. Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva, Krishna. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. But I know that your causeless mercy can make everything possible, because you're the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotion service? Oh Lord, I'm simply praying for your mercy, so that I'll be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. How will I make them understand the message, this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Some or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure, as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. Oh Lord, I'm just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, make me dance. Oh Lord, make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I've been designated as Bhaktivedanta. And now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purpose of Bhaktivedanta. See, so humbly, he's completely surrendered. He wants to do his service to his Guru Maharaj, but he's surrendered that Krishna, I have no capabilities, I have no qualities. You brought me here, so you must be having some purpose for me. So you just make me dance the way you want to. This is a complete surrender. And afterwards also, when he had disciples, all he said was, even to his disciples, he said, my Guru Maharaj has sent you to me to help me in his mission. That's all. And that's his mood. And that was, I don't think, only reason, one of the reasons that he was so successful. Krishna just worked through him the way he wanted. Signed the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. On board the ship Jalduta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated 18th September 1965. He was now in America. He was in a major American city, rich with billions, populated with millions, and determined to stay the way it was. Prabhupada saw Boston from the viewpoint of a pure devotee of Krishna. He saw the hellish city life, people dedicated to the illusion of material happiness. All his designation and training moved him to give these people the transcendental knowledge and saving grace of Krishna consciousness. Yet he was feeling weak, lowly, and unable to help them on his own. He was but an insignificant beggar with no money. He had barely survived the 2 heart attacks at sea. He spoke a different language. He dressed strangely. Yet he had come to tell people to give up meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling, and to teach them to worship Lord Krishna, who to them was a mythical Hindu god. What would he be able to accomplish? I mean, from that angle, it doesn't look like he would be able to do anything. Helplessly, he spoke his heart directly to God. I wish that you may deliver them. I'm seeking your benediction so that I can convince them. And for convincing them, he would trust in the power of God's holy name and in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This transcendental sound would clean away desire for material enjoyment from their hearts and awaken loving service to Krishna. On the streets of Boston, Prabhupada was aware of the power of ignorance and passion that dominated the city, but he had faith in the transcendental process. He was tiny, but God was infinite, and God was Krishna, his dear friend. So obviously, if Krishna wants to do anything, who will stop him? On the 19th of September, the Jalduta sailed into New York Harbor and docked at a Brooklyn pier at 17th Street. Srila Prabhupada saw the awesome Manhattan skyline, the Empire State Building, and like millions of visitors and immigrants in the past, the Statue of Liberty. Srila Prabhupada was dressed appropriately for a resident of Vrindavan. He wore kanti mala, means neck beads, simple cotton dhoti, and he carried japamala and an old chadar or shawl. His complexion was golden, his head shaven, shikha in the back, his forehead decorated with the whitish Vaishnav tilak. He wore pointed white rubber slippers, not uncommon for sadhus in India. But who in New York had ever seen or dreamed of anyone appearing like this Vaishnav? He was possibly the first Vaishnav sannyasi to arrive in New York with uncompromised appearance. Of course, New Yorkers have an expertise in not giving much attention to any kind of strange new arrival. That not just New York, all over America it's the same. They don't care. or they don't even notice any difference. They just don't have any attention. People are just busy in their own life of eating, drinking, and being merry. That's it. Srila Prabhupada was on his own. He had a sponsor, Mr. Agarwal, somewhere in Pennsylvania. Surely someone would be here to greet him, although he had little idea what to do as he walked off the ship onto the pier. And as Prabhupada said, I did not know whether to turn left or right. He passed through the dockside formalities and was met by a representative from Traveler's Aid, sent by the Agarwals in Pennsylvania, who offered to take him to Scindia ticket office in Manhattan to book his return passage to India. At Scindia office, Prabhupada spoke with the ticket agent, Joseph Forster, who was impressed by his unusual passenger's Vaishnava appearance, his light luggage, and his apparent poverty. He regarded Prabhupada as a priest. Most of Scindia's passengers were businessmen or families. So Mr. Forster had never seen a passenger wearing the traditional Vaishnava dress of India. He found Srila Prabhupada to be a pleasant gentleman who spoke of the nice accommodations and treatment he had received aboard Jalduta. Prabhupada asked Mr. Forster to hold space for him on a return ship to India. His plans were to leave in about 2 months, and he told Mr. Forster that he would keep in touch. Carrying only 40 rupees cash, 40 rupees, that's it, which was like $8 at that time, which he himself called a few hours spending in New York. And an additional $20 he had collected from selling 3 volumes of Bhagavatam to Captain Pandya. Srila Prabhupada, with umbrella and suitcase in hand, and still escorted by the traveler's aid representative, set out for the Port Authority bus terminal to arrange for his trip to Butler, Pennsylvania. So now from the ship, 40 days of traveling on the ship. No rest, nothing. Now he is going to the bus to travel further to Butler, Pennsylvania. That, I think it's about 5 or 6 hours of journey. So, chapter 13, Butler, Pennsylvania, the first testing ground. By the grace of Lord Krishna, the Americans are prosperous in every respect. They're not poverty-stricken like the Indians. The people in general are satisfied so far as their material needs are concerned, and they are spiritually inclined. When I was in Butler, Pennsylvania, about 500 miles, okay, so 500 miles, that would be really another 10-hour journey, if not more. I saw the many churches and they were attending regularly. This shows that they were spiritually inclined. I was also invited by some churches and church-governed schools and colleges, and I spoke there, and they appreciated it and presented me with some token rewards. When I was speaking to the students, they were very eager to hear about the principles of Srimad Bhagavatam. But the clergymen were cautious about allowing students to hear me so patiently. They feared that the students might be converted to Hindu idea, as is quite natural for any religious sect. But they do not know that devotional service of Lord Krishna is a common religion for everyone, including even the aborigines and the cannibals in the jungle. That was from a letter to Sumati Murarji. The bus came swinging out of the terminal into the daylight of midtown Manhattan, riding along in the shadows of skyscrapers, through asphalt streets crowded with people, trucks, and automobiles, and into the heavy traffic bound towards the Lincoln Tunnel. The bus entered the tunnel and emerged on the Jersey side of the Hudson River, continuing down the New Jersey Turnpike past fields of huge oil tanks and sprawling refineries. The Manhattan skyline was on the left, while 3 lanes of traffic sped 60 miles an hour in each direction. Newark Airport came up close by on the right, with jets visible on the ground, electric power lines spanning aloft between steel towers stretching into the horizon. Srila Prabhupada had never before witnessed anything of such magnitude. He was now seeing for himself that American culture was based on passion for more and more sense gratification, and it was a scene of madness. For what important business of people rushing to and fro at breakneck speed? He could see their goals advertised on the billboards. Of course, he had many times traveled the road from Delhi to Vrindavan, but it did not have many advertisements. A traveler would see mostly the land, the roadside streams, temples, homes, farmers in the fields. Most people went on foot or traveled by ox cart or bicycle. And in Vrindavan, even the ordinary passerby greeted each other by calling the names of God, Jai Radhe, Hare Krishna. Now there were factories outside Delhi, but nothing like this. The cumulative effect did not pack nearly the materialistic punch of these fields of oil tanks, mammoth factories, and billboards alongside the crowded superhighway. Meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling, the very sins Srila Prabhupada had come to preach against, were proudly glamorized on mile after mile of billboards. The signs promoted liquor and cigarettes. Roadside restaurants offered slaughtered cows in the form of steaks and hamburgers. And no matter what the product, it was usually advertised by a lusty-looking woman. But Prabhupada had come to teach the opposite, that happiness is not found in the passion for sense gratification. And that only when one becomes detached from the modes of passion, which leads to sinful acts, can one become eligible for the eternal happiness of Krishna consciousness. But the problem is, this philosophy, even in India, it's getting lost among the new generation. They are after American dream, while following blindly. Prabhupada felt compassion. The compassion of a Krishna conscious saint had been explained in an age long ago by Prahlad. I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance, not caring for the big cities and towns. They go to the Himalayas or the forests to meditate with vows of silence. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of a lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter at a lotus feet. The scene gradually changed to the Pennsylvania countryside, and the bus sped through long tunnels in the mountains. Night came and it was late. After 11, when the bus entered the heavily industrialized Pittsburgh area on the shore of the Allegheny River, Srila Prabhupada couldn't see the steel mills clearly, but he could see their lights and their industrial fires and smoking stacks. Millions of lights shone throughout the city's prevailing dinginess. When the bus finally pulled into the terminal, it was past midnight. Gopal Agarwal was waiting with the family. Volkswagen bus to drive Prabhupada to Butler, about 1 hour north. So Gopal had come to Pittsburgh to pick him up. He greeted Prabhupada with folded palms and welcomed Swamiji, bowing from the waist several times. This was not any of Gopal's doing. His father, a Mathura businessman with a fondness for sadhus and religious causes, had requested him to host the Swamiji. This wasn't the first time his father had arranged for a sadhu acquaintance to come to America. Several times he had sent sponsorship papers for Gopal to sign, and Gopal had obediently done so, but nothing had ever come of them. So when the sponsorship letter for A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami had come, Gopal had promptly signed and returned it, thinking that this would be the last they would hear of it. But then just a week ago, a letter had come. Sally Agarwal had opened it and then, in alarm, called to her husband, "Honey, sit down, listen to this. The Swami is coming." Srila Prabhupada had enclosed his picture so that they would not mistake him. The Agarwals had looked curiously at the photograph. "There'll be no mistake there," the Gopal said. Unsuspecting Agarwals were simple American people, according to Sally Agarwal, who had met her Indian husband while he was working as an engineer in Pennsylvania. What would they do with an Indian Swami in their house? Prabhupada was a shock for them. But there was no question of not accepting him. They were bound by the request of Gopal's father. Dutifully, Gopal had purchased Srila Prabhupada's ticket from New York to Pittsburgh and had arranged for the agent from Traveler's Aid to meet him. And dutifully, he had driven tonight to meet him. And so it was with a mixture of embarrassment, disbelief, and wonder that Gopal Agarwal helped his guest into the Volkswagen and drove back home to what? Okay, I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisance. Prabhuji, this book I had from many days. I brought it in 2020, I think. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. But with your grace, it's now, today I opened this book. Otherwise, I was reading it through Veda base only. So today I opened this book and I thought to read it.
It
Nice.
is actually, I mean, it's a book you cannot put down. Once you start reading, you just want to keep
Actually.
reading.
Yes, Prabhuji. It's like a story book only. मतलब novels type है लिखा हुआ पूरा.
Yeah. But written very nicely, elaborately.
Yes, Prabhuji. Very nicely. Very, matlab, it is like we are very curious to know that what happened next like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Chalo, you all have safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Jai Shri Prabhupada.